Welcome to PM Movie Recaps. Today's pick is a mystery thriller film of 2005, Flight Plan. If you're ready, let's enjoy the video. Kyle Pratt is a propulsion engineer based in Berlin, Germany. Her husband David died from falling off the roof of an avionic manufacturing building, and now Kyle and her 6-year-old daughter Julia are flying home to Long Island to bury him and stay with Kyle's parents. They fly aboard a passenger aircraft, an Elgin 474, which Kyle helped design. After falling asleep for a few hours, Kyle wakes to find that Julia is missing. After trying to remain calm at first, she begins to panic, and Captain Marcus Rich is forced to conduct a search. Kyle walks the aisles, questioning people, but none of her fellow passengers remember having seen her daughter. One of the flight attendants calls into the airport they just departed from, and, shockingly, the gate attendant says that they have no record of Julia boarding the flight. In addition, according to the passenger manifest, Julia's seat is registered empty. When Kyle checks Julia's boarding pass, it is missing. Marcus refuses to allow the cargo hold to be searched because the searchers could be hurt if the plane shifted due to turbulence. Both Marcus and the other crew members suspect that Kyle has become unhinged by her husband's recent death, and has imagined bringing her daughter aboard. One flight attendant, Stephanie, is exceptionally unsympathetic. Faced with the crew's increasing skepticism regarding her daughter's existence, Kyle becomes more and more desperate. Because of her increasingly erratic, panicked behavior, Air Marshal Gene Carson is ordered by Marcus to guard and handcuff her. Later on, Marcus receives a wire from the hospital in Berlin. It says that Julia was with her father when he fell off the roof, and she also died of internal injuries. Kyle furiously denies that, consistently claiming that she brought Julia aboard. The crew now believes she is delusional and she is brought back to her seat by Air Marshal Carson. A therapist on board tries to console her, causing Kyle for a moment to doubt her own sanity until she notices that a heart Julia had drawn earlier on the window next to her seat is real. Kyle is emboldened and convinces the therapist to let her use the bathroom. With her handcuffs now removed, she climbs into the upper compartment and sabotages the aircraft's electronics, deploying the oxygen masks and interrupting lighting. She uses the chaos to take an elevator to the lower freight deck. She desperately searches for Julia and finally opens her husband's casket, to which she emotionally breaks down. Carson finds her and escorts her back. Kyle begs Carson that she needs to search the plane upon landing. Carson considers for a moment before responding to her that he will go to speak to the captain. Instead, he sneaks back into the freight deck to remove 2 small explosives and a detonator concealed in David's casket. He then climbs down to a part of the avionics section, revealing Julia is sleeping with her coat and backpack that no one could find. He attaches the explosives to the side of the platform and alarms them. Carson tells the captain that Kyle is a hijacker and is threatening to blow up the aircraft with explosives hidden in the UN X-rayed casket unless the airline transfers $50 million into a bank account. Carson tells an unnerved Stephanie that he intends to blow up the aircraft's avionics section, killing the unconscious Julia, and leave Kyle dead with the detonator in her hand. After making an emergency landing at Goose Bay Airport in Goose Bay, Labrador, the passengers exit the aircraft as the runway is surrounded by FBI agents. As the captain is leaving, Kyle runs to speak to him with Carson in tow. The captain tells her to stop making up the story about her missing daughter, as the airline has transferred the amount of money as she has requested for. Kyle is confused and is told by Carson to wait till he gets the FBI agents. The moment Carson gets off the plane, Kyle has realized that he must be a hijacker. She stops Carson and then comes to know that he, Stephanie, and the coroner in Berlin are the antagonists and part of a conspiracy. The conspirators killed Kyle's husband and abducted Julia in order to frame Kyle. Carson tells her to let the crew disembark before they both can negotiate, if not her daughter's life will be in danger. As soon as the plane's door closes, Kyle knocks Carson unconscious with a fire extinguisher, handcuffs him to a rail, and takes the detonator from his pocket. Stephanie comes out of hiding and Kyle screams she's in avionics, isn't she? Carson quickly regains consciousness and fires at Kyle with a concealed gun, sending her running. He chases after Kyle, shooting, until she locks herself in the cockpit. He reveals his conspiracy to talk her out. She opens a hatch door to the upper level and throws out a binder to fool him. Carson follows the thud to upstairs. Meanwhile, Kyle comes out of the cockpit and encounters Stephanie. Kyle talks her down and punches her out. Stephanie panics and flees the plane, abandoning Carson alone there. Kyle during this time searches avionics and finally finds the unconscious Julia. Carson soon follows, pointing his gun to where Julia lay before, but they're not there. He turns around and sees Kyle carrying Julia, escaping through a small door with the detonator in hand. Carson shoots at her as she closes the door. She detonates the explosives, killing Carson. Kyle, carrying Julia, exits via a cargo door. Everyone watches in shock and amazement as Kyle carries her daughter out onto the runway. Later, Marcus says sorry to Kyle for what happened. Stephanie is charged by FBI agents. Julia wakes up and sleepily asks if they get to the destination yet. Thank you for watching, but before leaving, please make sure that you click subscribe and turn on the notification so that you can enjoy watching more videos like this.